Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're stepping away from the spreadsheets for a bit. No
Okay.
stock tickers, no complex formulas.
Right.
We're diving into something honestly much more fundamental, the human side of finance.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal here is to really explore the behaviors, the biases, the mindsets that truly dictate financial success or failure. It's often not about how smart you are.
Or how much you earn, surprisingly.
Exactly. That's the core idea I found so, well, counterintuitive in the research. We're taught finance is math, it's economics.
Very technical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very technical. But these sources, they argue pretty strongly that financial success is less about IQ and much more about soft skills,
Mm-hmm.
things like patience, discipline,
And humility, which is a big one.
humility, right?
And that's the key shift, isn't it? We tend to treat money like it's this clean, logical system. Input A gives you output B.
Like a machine.
Precisely. But managing money, as these sources really emphasize, it's more like, well, it's applied psychology. It's about understanding people. Because every decision we make with money, spending it, saving it, investing it, it's driven less by pure logic and more by our own, personal experiences, our emotions, the stories we tell ourselves.
Okay, let's jump right into that human element then. There's a distinction that seems to trip almost everyone up. Wealth versus riches.
Oh, definitely. A huge one.
We mix these up constantly, don't we? You see someone, maybe they've got a fancy car, expensive watch, always posting vacation pics.
Yeah, the visible stuff.
Right. The sources call that riches. It's the stuff you can see. It's consumption that's meant to be noticed.
And that's the trap, isn't it? Because riches, that visible spending, it just shows you what someone spent recently. It tells you,
Yeah.
well, basically nothing about their actual financial stability.
Nothing about the long term.
Zero. Real wealth, on the other hand, is almost always invisible. It's the savings account balance you never see. It's the investments quietly compounding. It's the financial cushion that actually provides peace of mind.
And here's the kicker. The irony the sources point out. Actively spending money to show people how much money you have
Mm-hmm.
is often the fastest way to have less money, to erode that actual invisible wealth.
It's a direct trade-off. You're swapping future security, future options for looking good right now.
It's so clear when you put it like that.
Think about it. Maybe someone drives a flashy leased car, always has the latest gadgets, but they're living paycheck to paycheck.
High riches, low security.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Compare that to someone maybe driving an older, reliable car, doesn't flash cash around, but
Well,
they've got 6 months of expenses saved, investments growing.
they have options. They have resilience.
That's the quiet wealth. It's freedom.
Okay, so if visible spending is misleading and riches don't equal stability, where does actual wealth come from? It still feels like it must be tied to how much you earn, right? A high
Yeah.
income seems necessary.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But surprisingly, the sources really push back on that. They argue that your saving rate is far more powerful than your income level.
The saving rate. You mean the gap between what you earn and what you spend?
Exactly, that gap. It's about discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, frankly, controlling your ego. Frugality, consistency.
Mm.
Those are the real engines of wealth building.
So someone earning, say, $50,000 a year, but saving 30%
Uh-huh.
is actually building wealth more effectively than someone earning $300,000, but only saving maybe 5%.
Absolutely. Without question. That high earner saving just 5%, they're often on a treadmill. They need that high income to keep going, to maintain the lifestyle. They're fragile. One bad month, one job loss.
And things get dicey fast.
Very fast.
Yeah.
But the person saving 30% on a moderate income, they're building a buffer. They're building resilience, independence. They have the ability to withstand shocks, to wait for opportunities. That margin of safety built purely through savings, that's what enables everything else. It's the foundation.
Right, that resilience, that ability to just stay in the game without panicking, that seems crucial because the biggest force in finance needs one thing more than anything else: time.
Time.
We all look for the hot stock tip, the quick win, right? But the real powerhouse of wealth generation is actually kind of, well, boring. It's compounding.
Compounding is the superpower.
Yeah.
And it's often misunderstood, I think. It's not just, earning interest on your initial money.
It's interest on the interest.
And interest on the interest, it's a feedback loop. It starts slow, almost invisibly slow sometimes.
Like pushing a snowball.
Exactly like a snowball. The longer you roll it, the bigger it gets and the faster it grows because its own size starts pulling in more snow.
Yeah.
Small, consistent gains over long periods. That's where the magic happens. Exponentially.
The sources point to Warren Buffett as the classic example here.
Of course. But the key lesson from Buffett, according to this research, isn't necessarily his genius stock picks. It's his time span.
How long he's been doing it?
Decades upon decades. He started investing as a kid. But the truly mind-blowing stat is that something like 95% of his massive fortune was earned after his 60th birthday.
Wow, after 60.
Yeah. Not because he suddenly got way smarter in his 60s, but because those early decades of consistent compounding finally hit that steep part of the exponential curve. Patience. Probably the most undervalued financial asset there is.
Okay, so patience lets compounding work. But you also need something else to navigate the sheer randomness of the world, right? You need resilience, sure. But the sources also emphasize humility.
Humility is critical because, let's be honest, a huge amount of success, and failure too, comes down to things completely outside our control.
Like luck, good or bad timing.
Exactly. Luck, timing, where you were born, what economic cycle you happen to start your career in. These external factors play an enormous role, far more than we usually like to admit.
And ignoring that, pretending it's all skill, that leads to problems.
Big problems. If you think your success is 100% down to your own brilliance, you get arrogant.
Right.
And arrogance makes you take bigger risks. You think, I cracked the code. You double down, you leverage up. And then inevitably, luck turns, the cycle shifts, and you get wiped out.
It's the difference between saying, I was brilliant, versus, I had a good plan and I got kind of lucky with the timing.
Precisely. Recognizing luck's role changes how you operate. It forces you to build in that margin of safety we talked about, because you know things can go wrong unexpectedly.
And it also changes how you view others.
Absolutely. Less judgment. If someone's struggling, you recognize maybe they hit a patch of bad luck or their starting point was way different than yours, and someone's wildly successful.
You admire it, but you don't assume you can just copy their exact steps.
You can't. You can never replicate their specific blend of skill, luck, timing, and circumstance. So learn from them, yes, but blindly copy. That's dangerous. Understanding this mix of skill and luck, that gives you emotional control.
And emotional control, the sources argue, is worth more than any fancy spreadsheet.
Way more. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you from making catastrophic mistakes driven by fear or greed.
Okay, so if behavior is key, and the goal isn't just the highest possible number, we need some way to know when to sort of ease off the gas, right? This brings us to defining enough.
The goalpost problem. This is huge. So many financial disasters, big and small, happen simply because people haven't defined what enough looks like for them.
They just keep chasing more.
Endlessly. More money, bigger risks, more leverage. Think about huge trading blowups or even frauds like Madoff. It often starts reasonably, but then the person doesn't know when to stop. They get caught in the more trap.
So knowing you're enough acts like a psychological guardrail.
Exactly. It prevents you from taking foolish risks you don't need to take, just because maybe your neighbor has more. Or the market seems like it can only go up forever.
Which it never does.
Which it never does. That ties into the whole market cycle thing. Bubbles inflate and burst precisely because people forget that up forever isn't reality. They get caught in the herd mentality, the greed, and fail to see the turn coming. Defining enough helps you step back from that madness.
And this connects to trying to predict markets, doesn't it? We build these complex models, try to forecast the next move.
Right.
But if markets are fundamentally driven by messy human psychology, fear, greed, panic, how good can those predictions really be?
Generally not very good, especially in the short term. The sources argue pretty convincingly that understanding market psychology is way more useful than trying to build the perfect forecasting model.
So accept the chaos.
Except that markets are, and always will be, somewhat unpredictable because they reflect collective human emotion. Understand that cycles happen, greed takes over, then fear takes over, then eventually greed comes back. It's a pattern.
So how does the listener use that understanding? If you can't predict, what do you do?
You focus on what you can control. Your saving rate, your time horizon, your diversification. You build that margin of safety, that resilience. You prepare for the certainty of uncertainty rather than trying to guess the specifics. You stay invested long enough for compounding to do its heavy lifting, riding out the inevitable bumps.
So it circles back to behavior and long-term thinking, not short-term prediction.
Always.
Okay, so if the ultimate goal isn't just piling up the biggest possible fortune, what is the real payoff? What's the highest dividend money can actually give you?
According to the sources we looked at, it's unambiguous. The highest form of wealth is control over your time.
Control over your time. Let's unpack that. What does that look like?
We could call it time freedom. It's flexibility. It's independence. It's having enough of a financial cushion that you get to decide how you spend your days.
So being able to maybe take a year off work if you want.
Or choosing to only work on projects you care about.
Mm.
Or leaving a job you hate without worrying about paying next month's rent immediately.
Having options, not being forced into things by financial pressure.
Exactly. That ability to wake up and say, what do I want to do today? Free from unwanted obligations.
Mm.
That is the ultimate prize. That's real financial success, far more meaningful than just a number on a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag tag outro. So if we pull all these threads together, the main takeaway seems pretty clear, doesn't it? Money. It's a tool, a really important tool for sure.
Not just a tool.
A tool to achieve freedom, security, peace of mind. But it's not a scoreboard for life. It's not how you measure your worth as a person.
And the research seems to back that up strongly, the happiness link.
Oh, absolutely. The data is pretty consistent.
Hmm.
Happiness from money increases significantly as you go from poverty to having your basic needs comfortably met. Food, shelter,
Yeah.
safety,
Makes sense. Less stress.
huge stress reduction.
Yeah.
But beyond that point, the link between more money and more happiness gets much, much weaker. It basically plateaus.
So doubling your income again once you're already comfortable doesn't double your happiness.
Not even close. Beyond that baseline level of security and comfort, things like relationships, social connections, finding meaning in what you do, personal growth, those become far bigger drivers of well-being than just accumulating more cash.
Which leads back to that idea of the best strategy.
Right. The best financial strategy isn't necessarily the one that mathematically promises the absolute highest return on paper. It's the one that lets you sleep well at night.
Yeah.
The one that fits your personality, your risk tolerance, your definition of enough.
Security, autonomy, peace of mind. That trumps chasing every last percentage point.
That's the message.
And that brings us full circle back to behavior and those personal stories we tell ourselves. We've discussed how our financial choices are shaped so much by our past experiences, our upbringing, maybe our family's history with money, often more than by objective facts or data.
Those narratives run deep.
So here's something maybe for you, the listener, to think about. What's a deeply held belief you have about money? Maybe something you learned growing up, something tied to an old success or failure.
A story you tell yourself.
Exactly. What story might you need to critically re-examine right now? Is there a behavior you're still running on based on an old script that might actually be holding back your financial peace of mind today? Something to mull over until our next